Yes, sir. So let's move on to game picks. We're here, of course, with Jamal. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Can't complain. Before we dive into game pictures, want to give a quick shout out to my Carolina Broncos playing in the CFL championship this week. So I gotta give them a shout out. But outside of that, I'm good, man.
All right. Do you have them in the? Let's do a special CFL game picks. Do you have them winning?
Yeah,
They're playing
yeah.
Tonon, right?
They're playing to know. Last year they lost to Daniel Dragons and Madre
Right.
London and Coach Armstrong and them. This year we're good. We're gonna get it done this year. We're gonna complete the mission.
All right. Well, I love to disagree with you, so I'm riding with no for that one, just to piss you off a little bit. But yeah, let's move on to these ELF Week 6, man. What's the first game that you wanna? Oh wait, actually, before we break down any game, shout out to Alex Malto. He's taking the lead of the game picks. He's
Yeah.
first 1 point ahead of you at 31. You're at 30. I'm falling behind, man. I'm falling backwards. I've gone. I'm closer to the fourth down fiasco guys now that that I am to the top. But and of course, Matt is out of the conversation already, even
Yeah.
though we're not even halfway through the whole season. But yeah, what's the first game that you want to break down?
Well, we're gonna work our way up, and we're gonna start
Mm,
Sunday to Saturday. So we're gonna start with what we think is the game of the week: Paris versus the Frankfurt Galaxy. I think this is gonna be a great game. We saw how it ended last time they played, and Paris making the comeback in the fourth quarter. And I think McKay and Jalen Henderson's a new fun rivalry for ELF fans to get into. How does Paris, who was kind of like building momentum offensively, how they look coming off a bye week? Does it slow them down? Do they get right back in the rhythm? How did the Frankfurt Galaxy bounce back after getting it, you know, their butt whoop last week versus Nordic? So it's gonna be interesting. This game for sure is definitely gonna be a fun one to watch.
yeah, I can tell you, and the viewers at home can see it. We're all riding with Paris for this one, and I think it's no shock because Paris looks like it's closer to the Nordic Vienna side of the table than to the mid section, which kind of looks like where Galaxy is falling right now after that tough loss against the Nordic. And also the bye week, man. I've seen the stories from Jalen Henderson. He was out in Barcelona enjoying his time, and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if he. I think he's relaxed and ready to go for this one. So yeah, I'm riding with Bears for this one, and you are too. What's
Yep.
your reason for it?
Yeah, I'm riding with Paris because I feel like they're a team that is progressively getting better each week. I
Hmm.
feel like that last quarter versus Frankfurt kind of showed us something about both teams. Showed us
Okay.
something about Paris. Obviously, we saw what they did the following week versus the Fire, and then the Galaxy. Like, Sandro was hurt in that game. Didn't play well in the Nordic game. Came back in second half, got a little bit of rhythm. How's he gonna look this week? Has the team look coming off food poisoning? Food poisoning, right?
Yeah.
Allegedly, we got Sushi Gate talking about. But I think for me, and I'm always gonna ride this way for the most part. Defense wins championships. I think Paris, if not the best, definitely a top three defense in this league. I think they figure McKay and the guys out, and it was fun seeing Terry Wright get more touches this game. But I'm rocking with Paris. I'm a Paris believer going forward.
Yes, sir. Let's move on to another interesting game, which for this one you are one of two games you're picking different to everybody else. So yeah, let's talk about this Prague and Hamburg game. Why are you picking Hamburg after you've seen them get tramped over by the Rhine Fire? They got literally treated like bozos. But what happened? Like, why are you picking Hamburg still?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I think looking at Hamburg and seeing how they are against some of the top tier teams. Obviously, they're
Mhm.
not at that level, but
Yep.
I think they're closer to being one of the better teams above the average teams or the middle pack teams. And Prague, yeah, they came off a big win, right? Came off a big win. How do you handle success, right?
Yeah.
Prague's already got their win total that they had last year, and granted they are a better team going into a bye week. But if there's any time to pick a team coming off a beatdown like they did last week, going up against a team that they're almost equal to, it's got to be Hamburg in my opinion. I think Mike Leone's coming back. I think that offense comes in full force. I think as a former defensive player, if I just got my butt whipped like that, I'm out to prove something the following week. So we'll see how everything plays out. But I think Hamburg takes it. I think Hamburg takes it. The run game, Chris,
Christmas is
run back.
crazy. Yeah,
Excuse me.
Candido and Crispy. Candido and
Yeah,
Crispy are crazy. They're a crazy like duo.
crazy duo, crazy duo. He still had like 100 and some yards, even with the with the beatdown. So
Yeah,
I'm rocking
Crispy's
with
first right
Hamburg.
now. Crispy as a rookie, 20-year-old, he's first
Yeah,
in the ELF for rushing yards.
absolutely.
Impressive
Yeah,
stuff, man.
and if there's anything, see Prague before that Panthers game struggled against the run a little bit. And I think the
Right.
Panthers are kind of an anomaly because they have a running attack, but they don't utilize it as much as they should, or as everyone would think.
Yeah.
Hamburg's going to run the ball. They may run the ball more than necessarily, than they have to, but they're going to run the ball. So how does Prague stop the run there? You got a formidable quarterback that's going to have more than 7 yards going into the fourth quarter. All right, he'll test the Prague defense. I get it; it's an anomaly pick, but if there's any time to pick a team going into the following week, coming off a big, disgusting loss like they did, it's the next week. So I'm rocking with Hamburg to pull off, I guess, what we'll consider an upset in this game.
Yeah, I feel it. Well, actually, I'm a sucker for a Cinderella story. I've talked to Matt about his Prague Lions for a while now.
Yeah.
We've talked about them. We've broken down their season, their possible record for doing a Matt Bressington watch along live. Guys, make sure you join in the lives on Saturdays
Absolutely.
and Sundays during the games to follow the games along with Matt Bressingtons and the insiders. And there's a bunch of people, lovely people in there to talk about in the chat. We've broken down the record, and it would be hard, but I see the Prague Lions closing in at 6-6 this season. I want the Prague Lions to finish the season at 0.500. That would be incredible for a team like the Prague Lions after what they've showed the past few years. So this was going to be a crucial game to win. You got to split the series against Hamburg if you want to be a 0.500 team. So yeah, I just wish for them to get to 0.500, and this is a crucial one to win for them to get there. So that's why I'm riding with them.
Absolutely. Let's not mistake this. This is a huge game for Prague, right?
Yep.
Are you coming off a big win going into the bye week? Like, this is a letdown spot potentially, right? So we'll see what happens. They got to go to Hamburg. We'll see how those homegrowns handle success, how the Euros handle success, right? How that team handles success just in general. So I'm rocking with Hamburg. I trust those boys will turn it around.
Nice. Well, let's talk
And if
about
not-
this last game. Wait, sorry.
And Hamburg owes me one after I picked them last week. So if they don't win this week, I'm done with Hamburg.
Yes, sir. Well, last week I went with you. I said they called him crazy, but I'm riding with Jamal. After what I've seen, after riding with you, I'm not riding that train no more. I'm stepping away. I'm going with the masses. I'm going with the people. I'm not doing that. And that's the case for this next game that I'm going to talk about too, which I don't know if did you call Frankfurt against Paris the game of the week? Because I thought this one was surely the game of the week. Which one is it?
For me, I think Frankfurt Paris is the game of the week.
Okay.
Because I think how those two teams played, it came down to a 2-minute drill. McKay scrambles, field goal win. I think. And again, how Frankfurt going to bounce back coming off that disgusting loss? Like, this could be Frankfurt's season, and like we're halfway through. This could be Frankfurt's season if they lose this game, right? So we'll see how everything pans out. But I know a lot of people are going to look to this Ryan Fire Vikings game, rightfully so. Obviously, it's the big dogs. I think it lost a little bit of steam with Frankfurt, not Frankfurt, with Ryan losing to Paris in the way they did. They got they're gonna have a new offensive coordinator this week.
Yeah.
So, did Ryan turn the page? That's honestly gonna be the question this week versus Vienna. Did Ryan turn the page?
Why are you saying yes though? Like I'm saying maybe a little bit, but it's a big page to turn. It's a heavy page to turn when it's Vienna against like the next week, So why are you saying they turned
absolutely? I think despite the opponent, what I saw from the Fire is not necessarily so. The biggest question about the Fire was, what's their offensive identity? What's this team? How's this team going to progress or just going up against the bigger teams? They found a way against Hamburg. Again, despite Hamburg, to win on first down. When you win on first down, you're ahead of the sticks,
Yeah.
right? And they ran the ball a lot of times on first down. They were
Finally,
gaining,
a little bit of a rushing game
yeah,
from
and they
Fire.
and they,
Yeah.
and they were gaining like a number of yardage. And
Yeah.
everyone says probably like, oh, like they gave Scott the ball more. No, they didn't. Scott got his 11-ish carries. The only difference was he went from averaging 2 to 3 yards a carry to 12 yards a carry. So
Yeah.
obviously, they did something in the run blocking game and found like their numbers and where they wanted to attack. And I think they're gonna. I think with this new offensive coordinator coming in and seeing what they did last week, I think they're gonna stick with the rush game. Right? They're not gonna put the whole game on Chad Jeffrey's shoulders. Granted,
Yeah.
we know they're battling some injuries, but also when I look at that defense, I said it before, like 3 years together, right? Veteran group, they all know each other, right?
Yeah.
And the first
That
time they played
secondary
him as
against Hamburg, it looks scary, man. It
yeah,
looks
and
scary.
yeah, Tony Anderson has 2 picks, Amari Williamson has a pick and a punt return touchdown.
Yeah.
Like trust me, I get it. But at the same time, when they played the Vikings the first time, as bad as the Fire played, it was only a 1-score game.
Yeah.
All right,
Vikings
it
couldn't
was
do
only
much.
it was only a 1-score game. I trust the Fire defense not putting up a blunder of a performance this week in
Okay.
Vienna. So we'll see what happens, but I'm rocking with the Fire. I think.
Let me ask you this. So everybody else on the picks is going with the Vikings, of course. I don't need to break that down too much. They already won one. They're looking like the best team in the league right now. They're at the top of everybody's power ranking. The Fire, yes, there's just one against Hamburg, but they lost big against Paris. So everybody can see why we've picked the Vikings. It was interesting for you to break down why you picked the Fire. Let me ask you this. Over under 41.5 points in this game, or 40 points in this game.
That's good, man. That's a good line. And obviously, seeing how these two teams, played each other last week,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go under.
You're going under.
I can see this like a 17-14 type of game. Like that's a hard line. Don't get me wrong, but two great defenses. I don't see them.
Yep.
I don't see both of them giving up 21 plus points. And if they do, again, that's on me. But you're also talking about a Ryan Fire offense that didn't start clicking until last week, right?
Yeah.
That even in the pass game, like it wasn't like they blew Hamburg out the water in their pass game. I mean, I would take the under. That's a hard line though. I'm not gonna lie. That's a hard line.
Yeah.
But I see this being more like 17-14, 14-11, some weird score.
I'm saying if someone allows over 21 or stuff like that, like going towards the 30s and stuff, it's because someone has run away a little bit with the score. Like I don't see both teams going up to like 20, 21, 28, like battling that far. Like it's going to be definitely a defensive game. So if somebody starts putting up those points, it's because they're running away, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And outside the first week, like Love been home, so he hasn't like light the league on fire in terms of passing yards. Their run game has been good. Schultz has come in, and I forgot
their
the other
last
guy's
game
name.
against the roll, though, Ben was lights out.
Yeah, Ben was lights out. Ben was lights out versus the Raiders. I'll give him that, and that was my bad for discrediting that game, man. I hate to pick up his Ben. I'm a Ben believer. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
But I think this game, I think Ryan can steal it. Can steal it. So we'll see how it plays out.
Right. Let me give you another edge for the Vikings why I picked them. Ben Holm was on bye week this week, right? You know where he went during the bye week vacation with his family, with his kids?
Where'd he go?
He went to Rome, Italy. That's why he's winning the next one against the Ryan Fire. Yes, sir. So who's your player to watch this week 6 of the ELF? Who's the guy that you're like, if he's on the field, I got to watch every play because he's going to be dangerous?
Yeah, to be honest, I think if I'm trying to think of all the games here, player to watch. You know what? I'm going to go with Hugo Takabam. Multiple performance touchdowns the past couple of times. Obviously, going against Paris, he had 2 that game. Don't get it wrong, he could throw it too. We saw the first game versus the Fire. He almost threw a touchdown to Remy Berlin. Unfortunately, it was dropped. So
yes,
I think they might get creative with Hugo. And let's throw him up there as a person to watch this week. He's in
You
my
want to know
fantasy
mine?
lineup. That's what's that?
Mine is Scott, the running back for Ryan Fire. If Ryan
Yeah.
Fire actually want to have a chance in this one, they need a rushing game desperately. As you know, I was there for the game in Dusseldorf between Ryan and Vienna. The problem with Ryan was they couldn't get a running game going. Vienna was able to go all the way down the field multiple times. They didn't score in all of them, of course, because they scored like 14 in the end of the game, or 12 even. But they had a rushing game that worked, and that allowed them to control the clock, get down the field, and have opportunities to score points.
Sure.
In the end, they didn't score too many, but they won because of that. Ryan Fire was able to only score 7, and they had 2 shots at the end zone the whole game pretty much, because the field goal that they kicked were far outside of the red zone and stuff. So 2 shots at the end zone, they convert one, they didn't convert at the end of the game to win it. And I think it was because of a rushing game. So this week, my player to watch is Scott, the running back for Ryan Fire, because it's gonna be against the Vienna defense too. It's gonna be a lot in his hands if the Ryan Fire is able to pull off this upset, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I'm excited for the game too. It's such a great matchup. All right.
Yeah.
Even though these two teams, one may be a tier above the other, the series is 1-1, right? Championship game, and then the week 3 game that they played. So best out of three, right?
Let's see. So let's talk fantasy. So of course, that's as always when we're getting to the ends of game picks. Who's your must-start player in this week of fantasy football?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going with Louis Geyer for me personally. Like that Cologne defense, can't stop a nosebleed. I think obviously they may favor Mike Hurley Jr. I think this is a game. This could be a breakout multiple touchdown game for Louis Geyer. And last year, Geyer was the most targeted receiver for that Surge offense when they got to the red zone. I think we can see something similar this week.
Yes, sir. Okay. My opinion. It's easy to pick against Cologne, but I'm going with the Surge defense special team, like the DST for Surge. They're one of the best in the whole league, and you put them up against an offense like the Cologne Centurions, which they haven't showed anything, of course, through the year so far. I think it's going to be multiple picks, sacks, and possibly even a score or two during the game for the Surge defense special teams. So that's a spot where your fantasy lineup can get a step ahead of everybody else's, because it's gonna give you so many points. Like when we started the Frankfurt defense against Cologne too, and they put up 28 or something like that, more than most of the players on your lineup. So yeah, I think that's one that you gotta have in there, to be honest.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we've reached the end of another Game Picks segment. Thank you so much for joining in the First Down Magazine ELF show. If you're watching this in the separate video, let me know. I'm fucking with you because you're watching it separately. Let's go. As always, like, subscribe, locker room, join the conversation in the comments. Share this with your grandma and everybody in your family. Make sure Nana's watching this while she's having breakfast with you or something like that. And yeah, everybody enjoy yourself during this week 6. A lot of great matchups. And finally, we have a good Saturday. So enjoy your Saturday games too, because it's been a while since we had some great Saturday games. All right.
Absolutely. Take care.
Peace.